Charlie Gard's parents accused Great Ormond Street of lying in court today, shouting, "When are you going to start telling the truth?" Charlie's mum told the judge, "He is our son, please listen to us." The judge himself said there is not a person alive who would not want to save Charlie, but added the 11-month-old had suffered brain damage that could not be reversed, and he would only make a different decision over taking him to America for treatment if his parents could produce new and powerful evidence in just 2 days' time. So, yet another legal fight and another deadline looming from the High Court. Here's our correspondent, Simon Harris.
Save Charlie Gard! Save Charlie Gard!
Charlie Gard's parents went back to court today, supported by a mum's army offering a wall of noise and an American priest with prayers.
I'd like to pray first.
The Reverend Patrick Mahoney flew in from Washington after organising a vigil for Charlie outside the British Embassy.
We're going to ask God to watch over Charlie, to strengthen Chris and Connie, and most importantly, to guide the judge in courtroom 47.
Charlie's mum and dad, Chris and Connie, arrived at the High Court knowing this latest hearing really is their last hope. The court heard Charlie's parents refuse to accept he has significant and irreversible brain damage, refuse to accept his head isn't growing. But the judge said evidence from 9 doctors concluded he has structural brain damage, saying every day Charlie continues to live is contrary to his best interests. Charlie's parents are convinced pioneering treatment offered by 2 hospitals, one in Italy and one in America, could help him recover. But the lawyer appointed to represent him, Victoria Butler-Cole, said she was concerned the US doctors only wanted to treat him because it was an opportunity to get a licence for experimental therapy.
The court has found that he's suffering pain, he's experiencing suffering and distress. And so all of that has to be considered at the same time as any possible benefits.
The American doctors claim the nuclear-seeds therapy could repair his DNA. It's an oral medication, but it's never been tried on a patient with Charlie's strain of mitochondrial disease.
The difficult part of this is knowing when it's right to try it, being very confident that it won't do any harm when you do try it, but also being very confident that you're not going to introduce false hope.
The judge at today's hearing issued Charlie's parents with a deadline of 2 o'clock on Wednesday to produce medical evidence that the treatment really does offer hope. He'll then make his final decision, possibly on Thursday. Simon Harris, ITV News, the High Court.
The new technology that has led to a growing gig economy is most evident when it comes to the battle between London's traditional black cabs and the relatively new kids on the block, Uber. But while many Londoners love having the choice, MPs today said the rising number of private hire vehicles is polluting London streets and are in danger of bringing the capital to a standstill. Our political correspondent, Simon Harris, has more.
They're not hard to spot. Cars with yellow windscreen stickers are everywhere. These are the private hire vehicles being blamed for London's increasingly congested and polluted streets. Now an all-party group of MPs has demanded urgent government action, calling for London's mayor to be given new powers to cap the number of minicabs.
They may not be the worst polluters, but they're contributing to the congestion behind me, which is pumping out fumes, contributing to the toxic air, killing 9,000 Londoners each year.
In 2010, 59,000 private hire vehicles were licensed by Transport for London. Today, that number has almost doubled to 116,000, while the number of taxi drivers in traditional black cabs has stayed the same, around 25,000. The minicab explosion has been fuelled by the so-called taxi app firms like Uber, which has 40,000 drivers in London. No one from Uber was available to talk to us today, but in a statement, the company said recent research suggested roadworks and delivery vans were the main cause of increased congestion, not minicabs. And there wouldn't be as many minicabs on the streets if there wasn't the demand.
They're providing a really valued service for many Londoners, and frankly a service that wasn't being well provided for before, particularly if you lived outside the centre and in the evenings and at night. So I think the idea, this crude cap that's being talked about, I think would be a very bad idea for Londoners indeed.
So how many minicabs can London cope with? If 120,000 is too many, what's the right number? Even the mayor isn't sure.
I wouldn't let it go higher, and over a period of time we'd want it to go lower. It would ebb and flow. What you couldn't do is overnight stop 120, take it down to 80, 90. What you could do, though, is stop new licences being granted and over a period of time reduce the numbers of minicabs in central London.
The truth is, no one knows for sure how many minicabs there are in London. Cars and drivers registered in other parts of the country can also ply their trade here. The MPs say those rules need changing too. Simon Harris, ITV News, Central London.
And now let's pause for a moment to find out what's coming up tonight on the Late Debate. Our political correspondent Simon Harris is the host and he's at the Westminster studio this evening. Simon, what can we expect?
Lucrezia, I'll be talking to a former Transport Minister and two MPs whose constituents have suffered 18 months of Southern rail misery. Is there any end in sight? We'll also be discussing the ongoing political fallout from the Grenfell Tower disaster and taking a look back at Theresa May's 12 months as Prime Minister on this, the first anniversary of her arrival in Downing Street. That's the Late Debate tonight on ITV at 10:45.
All right. Simon, thank you.